The apartment was dark except for the desk lamp. A small padded envelope with no return address sat on the clutter, Kanon's looping script unmistakable. Inside, a black velvet box. Ren's hands trembled as he lifted the lid. The diamond engagement ring he had given her 2 years ago glinted back at him, nestled on a bed of cream paper. Beneath the ring, a folded card. He tugged it free and opened it. Kanon Ayase and Kazuya Hasegawa request the honor of your presence at their wedding, 3 weeks from today.
Kazuya, my brother. The wedding is in 3 weeks.
The invitation slipped from his fingers, the date and venue blurring before his eyes. 6 months ago, she had ended things with a cold phone call. Now she returned the ring like a receipt.
She's marrying my brother, and I never even suspected.
Ren sat frozen, the velvet box open before him, the diamond mocking his pain. Sleep never came. Every time he closed his eyes, the invitation's elegant script burned brighter. At the office, spreadsheets blurred into noise. He caught himself reopening the same file 5 times. His phone gallery became a torture chamber. Kanon laughing under cherry blossoms. Kanon trying on that ring.
2 years of memories, and she threw them away in one phone call. Now this.
Then the screen changed. Incoming call, Kazuya Hasegawa.
I can't. Not yet. What would I even say?
The call went to voicemail. He stared at the notification until it faded.
But I have to know. From her own mouth.
He typed the words carefully. We need to talk. Tomorrow. The usual place. Sent. Her reply came an hour later. A single line. Fine. I'll be there. The next afternoon, the cafe's quiet hum wrapped around the tension. Ren sat at the corner table, watching the door. Kanon walked in, her charcoal trench coat fluttering slightly, the gloved left hand clutching her bag strap.
You sent back the ring, with an invitation, to marry my brother. Explain.
It's exactly what it looks like. I'm marrying Kazuya. It's my choice.
Your choice. After 6 months of silence, you don't even look me in the eye.
I don't love you anymore, Ren. That's the truth. Accept it.
The words were a blade, but her gloved hand shook, and the corners of her mouth betrayed the lie.
Then why are your eyes welling up? You're lying, Kanon.
Kanon shoved her chair back, the screech cutting through the quiet. She grabbed her bag, unable to meet his stare.
I have to go. Please don't follow me.
Ren left the cafe a minute later, his eyes locking onto Kanon's distant figure hurrying down the lamp-lined street. He followed, keeping half a block behind, her shoulders curled inward as if shielding a wound. She turned through the wrought iron gates of the IA's mansion. The steel bars closed with a hollow clang behind her.
She looked shattered. That wasn't the walk of a woman who chose her future.
He stood anchored to the pavement, staring up at the grand house. A memory surfaced the spring afternoon she'd first brought him here.
We stood on that balcony and promised to build something that lasted. Was any of it real?
The velvet box in his coat felt heavier than it should. Proof of a betrayal that still made no sense.
I won't stop until I know what really happened. Not from lies, not from evasions. The truth.
He pulled out his phone and sent a message to the one person left who might answer, his brother. We need to meet, tomorrow. Don't tell anyone. The next evening, a rooftop bar glittered with city lights. Kazuya waited at a corner table, a tumbler of whiskey untouched before him. Ren approached, his footsteps heavy. Kazuya looked up, hazel eyes weary.
You look like hell, Ren. I know why you're here.
Then tell me how you ended up engaged to the woman I was supposed to marry.
It wasn't planned. We ran into each other at a charity gala 2 months ago. She seemed sad. I asked her point blank if she was over you. She said yes. She said it was her choice to end it.
His eyes, there's no cunning there. Either he's a perfect liar, or he's as blind as I was. And you just believed her. You didn't think to call me.
I wanted to, but she begged me not to. Said it would only hurt you more.
The evening wind picked up, but the silence between them felt colder. Hours later, back in his apartment, Ren stared at the velvet box on his desk. The ring glinted under the lamp, but offered no answers. He realized how little he actually knew about Kanon's family business, a traditional manufacturing firm, ISA Industries. He typed the company's name into a search engine. The headlines made his blood run cold.
IS Industries facing collapse. A merger on the table. And the only lifeline is Hasegawa Group?
The knot in his stomach tightened, a merger that would bind their families and Kanon married to the eldest son.
She didn't just break up with me. She was sacrificed to save her family's company.
He grabbed his phone and dialed the Ayase residence. A staff member answered, polite but unyielding. The voice on the line was firm. "I'm sorry, sir. No one is available to speak with you at this time."
They're shutting me out. What are they so desperate to hide?
He set the phone down, but his mind was already racing toward the next step. He needed to find someone who knew the truth. Ren scrolled through his old chat group until he found a name he'd almost forgotten. Hikari Ayase, Kanon's younger sister. He typed carefully, "Hikari, it's Ren. I need to talk. Can we meet, please, tomorrow?" Her reply came within minutes, short and direct, the park near the old plum tree, noon. The next day, cherry blossom petals drifted across the old park path as Ren found Hikari waiting on a bench, her wavy platinum hair catching the light.
I figured you'd reach out eventually. You look thinner. Kanon hasn't been herself for months. She cries when she thinks no one's watching.
Then why is she doing this? Tell me the truth, Hikari.
Our father's under crushing pressure. The company, Kanon, chose this to help everyone. That's all I can say.
A sacrifice. But forced by whom? Her father? Or someone else pulling the strings?
Hikari looked away, unwilling to betray more. But the crack in the wall had opened. Ren now knew this wedding was never about love. Hikari texted, "Check your father's study. A merger file with Ayase. It might explain things." That evening, Ren slipped into his father's study, footsteps silenced on the polished floor. The drawer slid open soundlessly. The file was exactly where she'd hinted. He photographed each page, the phone's shutter muted, his pulse the only sound. Back in his apartment, the photos filled his screen. Merger proposal, ISA Industries. He scrolled to the personal letter, dated 2 weeks before the breakup, his father's crisp signature. He read the letter aloud, voice quivering.
A marriage union between our children would be the most reliable foundation for our families. He planned this. My own father traded me like a commodity.
But a letter wasn't proof of coercion. There had to be more, something that forced her hand. He needed to hear it from her. If the company was sinking, she'd finally have to stop lying. He found her in her favorite corner, surrounded by poetry, her back stiff as a board.
I know about the Ayase crisis, Kanon. The merger with Hasegawa Group. Is that why you're marrying my brother?
You should stay away from me.
He caught her gloved hand. The fabric slid, revealing her bare ring finger.
I still love you. But this marriage saves 200 jobs, including your father's. I ended us so you'd hate me, so you wouldn't stop it.
You did this for my father? Does Kazuya even know the real reason?
She shook her head, sobbing. The truth she could not speak stayed buried. He let her go, but now he knew. The crisis was real, but someone had forced her hand. He'd find out who. Back in his lamplit apartment, Ren stared at the ceiling. The question gnawed, why now, a crisis right when the merger was proposed? He remembered a password he'd once glimpsed over his father's shoulder. Access to the Hasegawa email server. His fingers flew over the keyboard. The login screen flashed, then gave way. He searched for the auditor's name. A thread with the subject line Ray IS Restatements stared back.
Restatements. Creative adjustments. This isn't just a crisis, it's a fabrication.
The auditor wrote, "Per your request, We've restated the Q2 liabilities to reflect a temporary insolvency scenario. Hands trembling, Ren downloaded the entire thread, dragging the files into a secure folder.
He inflated debts, hid assets, made the IAS firm look like a sinking ship just to force their hand.
Every number, every line item, a lie. The crisis wasn't real. His father had manufactured it. Ren sat motionless, the weight of the proof crushing him. He had the truth now. What he'd do with it was a different nightmare. He didn't sleep. By dawn, the fragments had assembled into a monstrous picture.
The merger was proposed, and suddenly IAS Industries was drowning. That's no coincidence.
He could see it clearly, his father coldly presenting the false crisis to the IAS patriarch, offering salvation through marriage.
Canon must have been cornered. Her family's legacy, 200 employees, my own father's position, all hostages. She broke up with me to make herself available. Not because she didn't love me, but because she had no choice.
The betrayal was complete. The man who taught him integrity had played every piece.
Father, you didn't just steal my future, you made her the thief.
Rage boiled into cold resolve. He needed to hear the admission from his father's own mouth.
But first, I need to be sure. Every detail confirmed, every document aligned. No room for denial.
He gathered the evidence and picked up his phone. The confrontation was no longer a question. It was an appointment. Ren walked into the Hasegawa Group headquarters, past the secretary who barely glanced up, and into his father's corner office.
You have 5 minutes, I'm busy.
I know what you did. The fabricated crisis, the forced merger, the letter to the Ayase patriarch. All of it.
His father set down his pen. His expression didn't change.
Yes. And the merger was necessary. The company required it. Love doesn't keep the lights on or pay 200 salaries. Grow up, Ren.
You made her a sacrifice. You destroyed us. I'll expose everything.
Expose me? With what? The word of a jilted son? No one will believe you. The wedding proceeds.
The laugh was dry and hollow, like cracking ice. Ren's fists clenched until his knuckles went white. He stormed out, the door slamming behind him. The truth was his, but his father's power felt absolute. Ren returned to his apartment. The city hummed outside, but inside the silence crushed him.
Expose the fraud. Company collapses. Jobs vanish. Father jailed. Mother devastated. Kazuya's wedding ruined. Stay silent. Kanon and Kazuya live a lie. Father wins. I lose everything anyway.
He reached for the cream invitation still lying beside the velvet box. The date stabbed back at him.
1 week. The merger will be signed by then. If I expose him publicly after, the families are bound, but the truth is known.
His breathing steadied. The edge of a plan sharpened in his mind.
I'll attend the wedding. During the toast, I'll stand. Present the evidence. Resign from the family business. Everyone will see. They'll call me a traitor. Father will rage. But it's the only way to give Kanon and Kazuya a real choice.
He tucked the invitation into the evidence folder. No more hesitation. 1 week. The countdown had begun. The printer hummed late into the night. Pages stacked, emails, restated liabilities, the auditor's confession. Beside them, a handwritten resignation letter. He would not remain in the Hasegawa Group 1 day longer. He texted Hikari, "Same park, tomorrow. It's urgent." The next afternoon, cherry blossoms fell like pale confetti around the old park bench.
You look even thinner than before. What's happened?
I have proof. My father fabricated the IAS crisis to force the merger. I'm exposing him at the wedding.
Hikari's hand flew to her mouth. Her lips parted, but no sound came.
I'll make sure Kanon knows the truth afterward. She deserves that.
Stay out of the crossfire, Hikari. Your father's going to be furious.
Her eyes answered before her voice could. She would be there. He could see it. The week passed in a gray haze of work and dread. He avoided every call from the family home, leaving messages unread. A crisp RSVP reminder arrived in the mail. He read the date once and let it slip onto the kitchen counter. Then his screen lit up. Kazuya. He stared at the name until the third ring before answering.
Ren, are you coming? I want you there. It would mean a lot to both of us.
I'll think about it.
The night before the wedding, sleep was a foreign country. He paced from desk to window, mouthing silent arguments. His phone buzzed. A new post from Hikari, a private photo of Kanon in her wedding gown, back to the camera, gazing out a window.
She's crying. Even in that dress, she's still crying.
He tore a scrap of paper from an old receipt. On it, he wrote 4 words and tucked it into his jacket pocket. Morning light cut through the blinds. Ren stood before the mirror, adjusting his tie. The leather document case sat on his desk, waiting. The wedding garden sprawled under a golden sun. Roses climbed the trellis, and the laughter of guests drifted like polite music. Near the champagne table, his father laughed too loudly, clapping a guest's back. It was the smile of a man who believed he had won. Kazuya caught his eye across the lawn. Relief flickered, then confusion. Ren gave a single nod and looked away. He walked past the floral arch, the leather case growing heavier with every step. The emptiness of Kanon's absence from the garden was its own weight. He took a seat at the back. The ceremony began. Rows of guests rustled like paper. At the altar, Kazuya waited, shoulders stiff. The vows echoed under the white arch. Kanon's voice was steady, but hollow, a bell that had forgotten how to ring. When the officiant pronounced them, applause rippled like a stone skipped on water. Ren's hands stayed pressed against his knees. The reception tent glittered with string lights. The MC's voice rose over the chatter, announcing the toasts. Kazuya's best man spoke of loyalty and fresh starts. Ren's grip on the document case tightened until the leather creaked. Then the MC called on family. A sudden hush. Ren rose, chair scraping backward like a verdict. He lifted his glass, and every face turned. Ren's voice trembled through the first words of gratitude. Then the tremor vanished, replaced by something colder.
I have a confession. It's not about the couple. It's about my father.
He lifted the leather case onto the table and snapped it open. The printed emails and financial reports sat in a neat stack.
The crisis at Ayase Industries was fabricated. My father inflated debts and hid assets to force this merger. Effective immediately, I resign from the Hasegawa Group. I will not be complicit in this fraud. Kanon, you were never the villain. Neither was Kazuya. This burden was never yours to carry.
He handed the stack to the wedding planner, who stared as if it were a live grenade. He instructed her to distribute it. His father shot up, face purple, shouting accusations. Kazuya grabbed his arm, holding him back with surprising force. Kanon didn't move. She stood behind the head table, her white glove now wet with tears, her gaze fixed on Ren. The ballroom erupted in gasps and scrambling chairs. But the truth had already landed like a stone through glass. Security guards moved to separate the shouting guests, their hands raised like walls against the tide. Through the chaos, Kazuya strode forward, his tuxedo sleeve torn where he had grappled his father. His hazel eyes glistened.
Ren, I always knew something was wrong, but I didn't have proof. Thank you for all of it.
Across the tent, their father was half-dragged toward a side exit, his shouts about disinheritance swallowed by the commotion.
Ren, please, stay. Don't leave like this.
Ren's gaze fell to the floor. The diamond engagement ring had slipped from the overturned case, glinting among shattered glass. He bent slowly, picked it up, and held it out to her on an open palm.
This was always meant for your true choice, not a forced one.
He closed her fingers around the ring, then let go. Without another word, he turned and walked toward the garden path. Behind him, Kanon sobbed into her husband's chest. Ahead, the fireworks of the evening display began to bloom, marking an end and a beginning. 2 years can reshape a man. The empty desk and sleepless nights had given way to something harder, leaner. His startup no longer fit inside a single room. A dozen young engineers filled the open floor, their screens glowing with his vision. A framed magazine cover hung beside his desk, Rising Tech Ren Hasegawa builds from ashes. He kept a yellowed newspaper clipping. Hasegawa Ayase merger dissolved, Kazuya Hasegawa leads independent recovery. Below the fold, a smaller line. Canon Hasegawa launches charity design initiative. The photograph showed her smiling without the old weight. His father's name appeared nowhere. The man who had played God had vanished into a quiet, forgotten retirement. In his loft, the silence was a choice. He had rebuilt every shattered piece, but there was still a hollow where shared warmth should be.
I built what I wanted, but building alone leaves an echo.
He turned from the window. The sleek space around him was a monument to a life reconstructed. Then his phone buzzed, an envelope icon, another wedding invitation. The invitation was from a college friend, simple, uncomplicated. Ren traced the embossed names and laughed under his breath.
2 years ago, an invitation nearly broke me. Now it's just paper. I'm not hiding anymore.
He booked the train that afternoon. The vineyard wedding sprawled across a sun-drenched hillside, the air thick with the scent of warm grapes. He moved through the crowd, exchanging pleasantries, but his eyes kept scanning, an old habit of searching for the exit. Then a flash of platinum hair among the peach silk. Hikari was laughing, her face turned to the sun.
Hikari? She's not the girl from the park anymore. She's grown into something steady and bright.
Their eyes met, across the rows of glasses and white linen, the air compressed into a thread. She excused herself from the bride and walked toward him, the gentle smile on her lips as familiar as spring.
Ren, I was hoping you'd come.
He opened his mouth to speak, but for a moment, no words came, only the quiet hum of a door opening.
Let's step away from the crowd. There's a quiet path through the vines.
They walked until the music became a distant murmur, the grapevines forming a natural corridor.
Kanon and Kazuya are happy. The company is thriving under his leadership. Our father is in a care facility now. He's estranged from everyone.
Does Kanon ever regret it? Not the marriage, but everything before.
No. She often says she's grateful. Your sacrifice gave her and Kazuya a real beginning.
Ren studied her. The shy university student was gone, replaced by a woman with quiet fire.
By the way, Mr. Hotshot CEO trading family drama for a tech empire isn't bad.
Ren laughed, a full, uncalculated sound that startled the birds from the vines. The sun dipped below the hills, painting their silhouettes in amber. The story wasn't over. It was only just beginning. They walked back as the string lights flickered on, the vineyard now wrapped in a velvet evening. The reception was softening into laughter and slow dances.
Ren, do you ever think about loving again?
Ren paused, the question hanging in the air like a melody he hadn't expected to hear again.
Maybe. I think I'm finally ready to find out.
I'm starting an internship near your city next month. Design. Maybe? You could show me around sometime?
I'd like that.
They pulled out their phones, exchanging numbers like it was the most natural thing in the world. The screens glowed side by side, a new contact window open. A single cherry blossom petal, carried by some unseen wind, floated down between them, a quiet echo of the park where they had once stood as allies in a storm. And in that small, fragile moment, the future opened its hands. The next morning, they met for coffee at a small cafe near the train station. The vineyard had felt like a dream, but the sunlight on the pavement was real.
I have a confession. That friend's invitation, I might have encouraged it. I hoped you'd come.
You orchestrated a wedding invite just to see me? That's kind of terrifying.
Terrifyingly effective, you mean? I wasn't sure you'd take the bait.
Ren shook his head, but the smile didn't leave. The invitation he had once dreaded had now delivered something unexpected. His phone buzzed on the table. A notification from his calendar. Show Hikari around next Saturday. He picked it up, thumb hovering over the date. The past was no longer a trap. It was just a closed door. Outside the window, a sakura petal tumbled down the glass, another silent echo. The story was no longer about what was lost. It was about what was finally found. And for the first time in 2 years, Ren Hasegawa didn't just believe in a new beginning. He was living it. The real story was only just starting. 1 week later, Ren stood outside a small pottery studio, the warm smell of clay drifting through the open door.
You said you wanted to see the real city. This is where I come when I need to think with my hands.
I've never done this. Fair warning, it's probably going to collapse.
The clay wobbled and slumped, but Hikari's hands gently covered his, guiding the shape.
See? Not so hard. You just have to stop trying to control everything.
She's right. For years, I tried to hold everything together and it all shattered. Maybe letting go isn't losing.
2 hours later, they walked along the riverbank, hands almost brushing, the city glittering in the twilight.
Today was good. Really good. I can't remember the last time I felt this light.
So, same time next week? I know a place that has the best ramen in the prefecture.
He nodded. No dramatic promises, no urgent confessions, just the steady rhythm of a future no longer feared. The next Saturday, they found the ramen shop, steam fogging the windows. Hikari watched him eat, her smile soft.
You're different from the man who cried in the library, less haunted.
The haunting stopped when I realized the ghosts were just my own guilt. Kanon wasn't mine to save.
The admission hung in the air, raw and clean. For the first time, the past didn't smell of ash.
Kanon said something similar last week. She told me she's finally happy. Really happy because you set them both free.
Ren set his chopsticks down, the weight of years lifting. Outside, the city pulsed, indifferent and beautiful. His phone buzzed, a message from Kazuya. Hey, it's been a while. Coffee next week? No pressure.
The brother I thought I'd lost forever is reaching out. Maybe some wounds can finally close.
You should go. He misses you, and I think he needs to see that you're okay.
He typed a reply. Coffee sounds good. Then he looked at Hikari, and the future didn't feel like a risk anymore. They met at the same rooftop bar where Kazuya had once defended his innocence. The city glittered below, unchanged, but the men sitting across from each other were not.
Thank you for coming. I didn't know if you'd ever want to see me again after everything.
Kazuya, you were a victim just like Kanon. I blamed the wrong people for years. I'm glad we're here.
They talked about work, about Kanon's new design project, about the quiet domesticity of a Sunday morning. For an hour, it was almost normal.
Ren, there's something else. Father's lawyer contacted me. He's in the care facility, but he's not well. He wants to see you before.
Before he dies, you mean? So now he wants absolution. After ruining our lives, he thinks a deathbed visit will fix everything?
Kazuya slid a business card across the table. The name of a senior care facility. The silence that followed was heavy with old ghosts. Later that night, Ren walked along the riverbank with Hikari. The card burned in his pocket. He told her about the meeting.
I can't tell you what to do, but my own father is also unwell. I'm considering moving back to help. It's complicating everything.
Ren looked at her, then out at the water. The path forward was no longer a straight line. The past wasn't done with him yet. They walked until the path ended at a wooden bench overlooking the river. The city lights blurred into a quiet tapestry, as if the world was holding its breath.
I thought I'd severed that tie. But a part of me still wants to hear what he has to say. Is that weakness?
It's not weakness, Ren. It's the part of you that still hopes people can change. I hold on to that too, with my father.
They were two people on the same riverbank, staring at different ghosts. The coincidence was cruel and somehow comforting.
If you move back, What happens to us? To this?
I don't know. I'd still be only a train ride away, but it would change things. I'd have to be there for him.
The word change hung between them, heavier than the November chill. A month ago, change had meant hope. Now it meant uncertainty.
Just when I finally let the light in, the door starts to creak shut. Fate has a dark sense of humor.
Whatever we decide, I don't want to lose what we've found. Promise me we'll try to keep it, no matter which path we take.
He turned his hand over and laced his fingers through hers. No promises about the future, just a silent agreement to keep holding on. The care facility was sterile, smelling of antiseptic and wilted flowers. Eiichi Hasegawa sat by the window, a blanket over his knees. He looked up at Ren, the steel in his eyes replaced by something hollow. An oxygen tube looped around his ears.
You came. I didn't think you would, after everything.
I didn't come for forgiveness. I came to understand why you destroyed my life.
Because I loved you more than Kazuya, I knew the company would corrupt you. I made you hate me so you'd leave and build your own, and you did.
All this time, he wasn't punishing me. He was pushing me away to save me from a trap he'd built for himself.
His phone vibrated. A message from Hikari. My father's dying. I'm going back home. I'm sorry. He looked from the phone to the broken man in the wheelchair. The room suddenly felt smaller, the air heavier.
I have to go. I'll come back.
The corridor stretched ahead, empty and echoing. One man needed his past, another needed his future. He could only walk toward one. He ran through the facility's automatic doors, already dialing Hikari. The call rang and rang until her voicemail answered. On the train, he reread her message. The words blurred into his father's confession. Love disguised as cruelty, sacrifice wrapped in betrayal. He got off at the old station and walked the familiar path to the Aya's mansion. The iron gate stood ajar as if expecting him. He entered the garden, his footsteps hushed by the damp earth. The same path he had walked years ago, chasing Kanon. He found her on a stone bench near the old plum tree. Her face was pale, etched with the same hollow grief he had once worn.
He's in a coma. They don't know if he'll wake up. I don't know what to do.
Ren sat beside her, the distance between them closing without a word. He told her about his father, the twisted gift disguised as punishment.
I wish my father had loved me like that, but he was just a weak man who got sick. I can't abandon him now.
You're not abandoning anyone. You're here, and I'll be here too, for as long as you need.
The night deepened around them, but the mansion's lights held the darkness at bay. Neither of them knew what came next, only that they wouldn't face it alone. They spent the next hours in a sterile hospital hallway, the fluorescent lights humming a hollow lullaby. Hikari's father showed no change.
The doctors say even if he wakes, he'll need full-time care. I can't leave him. I'm staying here.
Ren felt the weight of the words. Staying meant uprooting the quiet future they had begun to sketch. Leaving felt like abandonment. His phone screen shattered the silence. An urgent call from the care facility. Eiichi Hasegawa had taken a sudden turn.
A dying man who broke my life and a woman I'm trying to build a new one with. Both need me now. I can't be in two places. I have to go. He's asking for me, and I need to hear the rest. But I'll come back. I swear.
I know you will. Just don't let him leave this world without knowing you forgave him. For your sake, not his.
He walked out into the rain-slicked street, each step away from her a weight added. The city blurred through the taxi window. In the cab, he dialed his office manager. He arranged indefinite leave, transferring critical decisions to his partner. He was choosing to be present. When he finally pushed through the facility doors, the nurse met him with a grim face. His father was fading, but conscious. The room was dim, the only sound the mechanical beeping of the monitors and his father's labored breath. Ren pulled a chair close to the bed.
I was a fool. I thought pushing you away would make you strong. I was wrong.
You destroyed us. But I've always wanted your approval. Why did it take you dying to finally say it?
Because I was a coward. I see now that love is in control. I'm sorry, Ren, truly.
He's actually apologizing. After all these years, can I let go of the anger that's kept me going? I forgive you, Dad. Not for you, but for me. I won't carry this anger anymore.
Ichi's frail hand found Ren's a lifetime of silence broken by a single squeeze. Then the monitor's rhythm slowed to a flat line. He stayed in the silence long after the nurses left. The weight he had carried for years didn't vanish, but it shifted. It was no longer chains. He picked up his phone and called Hikari. Her voice was tired but steady. He told her it was over, and that he was coming back. He walked out of the facility into the pale morning. The world looked the same, but he saw it through clear eyes. The war was finally over. When he stepped back into the hospital, the first light of dawn was seeping through the blinds. Hikari sat slumped in a plastic chair, her eyes closed.
You came back. I was afraid you wouldn't. My father hasn't moved. The doctors say it could be weeks or never.
Ren sat beside her on the cold floor, his back against the wall. He told her about his father, the apology, the forgiveness, the final breath.
I'm glad you were there. But now, what about your company? Your life is 4 hours away. I can't ask you to put everything on hold for me.
I can't just walk away from what we're building either. But I also can't leave you. Not again.
His phone buzzed with a missed call from his business partner. Then a text. We need you here by Tuesday or the investors will pull out.
Everything I built is about to crumble. But if I leave now, I'll lose her. There's no good option. Tuesday. I have to be there. But I don't know how to choose between you and everything else.
Then don't. Go handle your company. I'll still be here. We'll figure it out. We have to.
He covered her hand with his. No easy answer. No perfect path. Just a promise to keep trying, even when the road split in two. The loft greeted him with stale air and an untouched bed. He had slept on the train, but the exhaustion clung heavier than travel. His phone buzzed. The partner's voice was frantic. The investors want a meeting in 2 hours. They're serious, Ren.
I'll be there. I'll use my personal savings to guarantee a bridge loan. We can't let them walk.
In the glass-walled conference room, the investors sat stone-faced. Ren laid out the restructuring plan, his voice steady.
I'm personally guaranteeing the next quarter's operating costs. In return, my equity drops to 30%. It's a fair trade.
The lead investor leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Then his partner nodded, and the pen changed hands. The company would survive. After the meeting, he called Hikari. It rang to voicemail. It's done. The company is safe. Call me when you can. He spent the afternoon in his loft, answering emails but kept checking his phone. No reply. The silence weighed more than the loss of equity. Finally, a text from Hikari. He's awake but can't move. I'll be here a while. Don't worry. Go save the world. He exhaled, typed back. We'll get through this. Visit when I can. The distance remained, but so did the thread connecting them. Days turned into weeks. Ren rebuilt his company's trust, but the victory tasted hollow. His phone was a silent reminder of distance. Then a call. Hikari's voice, exhausted, broke the routine. Her father had regained consciousness but was slipping again.
Ren, I can't do this alone. The doctors say it might be weeks. I need you.
He stared at the spreadsheet. A critical merger meeting was scheduled for Monday. His presence was mandatory.
If I go, the deal could collapse. If I stay, she might never forgive me. There's no right answer.
He picked up his phone and called his business partner. Then he booked a train ticket for the next morning.
I'll handle the merger by video. My place is with her.
He arrived at the hospital the next afternoon. Hikari was asleep in a chair, the lines on her face deeper than before. He woke her gently. She blinked, then broke into sobs against his shoulder. He held her, knowing it wasn't just about her father.
I'm here. We'll figure it out. Together.
Ren took the merger call from a hospital supply closet, laptop balanced on stacked linens, the video flickered, faces pixelated. Through the static, his partner's voice cracked. The investors see you in a hospital. They're spooked. Half are pulling out.
I'm losing them. But if I walk out now, I'll lose her. There's no retreat.
The closet door burst open. Hikari stood, pale. He's crashing. They need to operate now. They ran to the room where a doctor recited cold figures. The surgery has a 30% survival rate. The cost is not fully covered.
I can't pay for it. The insurance won't cover a tenth. We'd have to sell the house.
Use my savings. I don't care what it costs. Just save him.
He signed the financial guarantees, then watched the number drain from his account on a banking app. His personal safety net vanished. As they wheeled her father past, his eyes flickered open for a second. A cracked whisper. I knew what Aichi did. Forgive me. Hikari froze, but Ren squeezed her hand. The doors to the OR closed and his phone rang again. The board was voting on his removal. The phone screen pulsed with the board's decision. Ren's partnership was revoked, effective immediately. A sentence typed in corporate coldness.
They cut me out. Everything I built, gone. But I'd do it again.
Your company? Because of me? I'm so sorry.
Don't. I made my choice. I won't apologize for it.
The surgical doors swung open. The doctor's face was unreadable. He survived, but there's damage. He'll need constant care.
Then I stay. The house, it has to be sold. It's the only way to pay for the rest.
My savings are gone, but I can work. We'll find a way.
His phone buzzed with a new message. His partner, now acting CEO, offered him a consultancy role, pride or provision.
I can't go back, but I can't let her face this alone. I'll take the consultancy on my terms.
He typed a reply, I accept, remote only. I'm needed elsewhere. Then he looked at Hikari, and the war shifted to a quiet, stubborn siege. They returned to the IA's mansion to pack its history into cardboard boxes. Dust drifted like ghosts in the shafts of afternoon light. In her father's study, behind a loose panel, Hikari found a tin box. Inside, letters tied with a faded ribbon, correspondence with Iki Hasegawa. He read aloud, I've convinced Kanan. She'll end it with Ren next week, as we agreed. The merger proceeds.
He wasn't just a victim. He helped destroy you. All this time, I thought he was innocent.
He was weak, but in the end, he asked for forgiveness. That's more than my father ever did before he was dying.
That evening, they fed the letters to a small fire in the garden's stone pit. The ink curled and vanished, a history erased by mutual choice. The house sold in 7 days. Hikari's father was moved to a long-term care room, his mind now a quiet fog. They found a modest apartment near the facility. 2 rooms, a window overlooking a stubborn cherry tree.
We've lost so much, but this feels like a strange kind of peace.
He pulled her close, their shadows stretching across the bare floor. The siege was over. They were building on the ruins. Months folded into a quiet rhythm. Remote work, visits to the care facility, evenings by the window watching the cherry tree bud.
You've been staring at that spreadsheet all morning. What's on your mind, Mr. Consultant?
Not a spreadsheet, an address. The old park. It's time.
He took her hand and led her to the old park where they had once stood as allies against a storm. Pink petals drifted like confetti.
The last time we sat here, I was chasing a lie. Now I'm asking for a truth. Hikari, will you marry me?
Ren, yes, 1,000 times yes.
He opened the box, not a diamond ring, but a simple band of intertwined silver threads, forged from loss and hope. He slipped it onto her finger. It fit perfectly, as if it had always been there waiting. She pulled him up and into an embrace that said more than any vows could. The petals danced around them like a silent blessing. The story that began with a ring returned in sorrow ended with a promise freely given. Not an end, a first page. The wedding wasn't grand, just the park, the old plum tree, and a few folding chairs. Kanon and Kazuya sat in the front row, hands intertwined.
I never thought I'd be here, watching you marry my sister. But it feels right.
We've come a long way from a returned ring today. That ring is just a memory.
The officiant was an old friend. Hikari wore a simple white dress, no veil, her platinum hair loose and catching the light.
I promise to meet every storm with you, and to dance in every calm.
Ren's vows were shorter, but every word was a stone laid on a new foundation. They exchanged bands, silver, unadorned, forged from the same light as the one he'd given her days before. When they kissed, petals showered them like a benediction. Even Kazuya wiped his eyes.
Welcome to the family. Officially this time.
They didn't need a grand feast, just a picnic under the cherry tree. The sun warm, the past finally at rest. Autumn came quietly, painting the cherry tree gold. In the small apartment, 2 cups of coffee cooled on the windowsill, one half empty, one untouched.
You're going to be late for your consultancy call again. I swear you moonlight as a poet now.
They can wait. I was just thinking about the first time you brought me ramen here. You said it was the best in the prefecture.
It was, but I might have exaggerated to get you to stay.
He laughed, the sound easy now. The ring returned in sorrow had led them here. A quiet autumn, a silver band, a future no longer feared. In a drawer, tucked beneath old letters, the velvet box still held the diamond ring, not as a wound but as a testament, a chapter closed. His phone buzzed with a message from Kanon, a picture of her and Kazuya holding a sonogram. A new life. A family rebuilt from ashes.
We're going to be an aunt and uncle. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready for anything, as long as it's with you.
Outside the window, the cherry tree shed its last golden leaf. The story wasn't over. It was only just beginning. The plum tree stood bare against a pale winter sky, its branches etched like ink on paper. Ren traced the name carved into the bench, Hikari and Ren, a quiet echo of their promise.
2 years ago, we sat here as strangers with a secret. Now look at us.
The secret nearly destroyed us, but it also brought us here. I'd do it all again.
He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box, not velvet but worn cardboard, tied with twine. Inside, the original diamond ring, cleaned and resting on a bed of dried cherry petals.
You kept it. All this time? Why didn't you sell it?
Because it's not just a ring anymore. It's proof that even the deepest wounds can heal. I want you to have it, not as an engagement, but as a reminder.
She let him slide the diamond onto her right hand. It fit, just as it had once on another finger, but now it symbolized a different covenant.
We should plant something here. A new tree. Something that will still be here when we're old.
A cherry sapling, right next to the plum tree. Something that blooms in spring, just like us.
They didn't need to speak it aloud. The ring, the tree, the scarred bench, all of it was a testament. The story had been rewritten in stone. They bought a slender cherry sapling from a nursery on the edge of town and carried it back to the park on a morning so cold their breath turned white.
Are you sure you know how to plant a tree? Last time you tried to fix the sink, we had a flood.
Trees are easier. They just need a good hole and a promise.
They took turns with the spade, the frozen ground resisting until it gave way. The hole was deeper than either expected, a grave for old wounds, a cradle for a new root.
Every tree starts in the dark, pushing through dirt to find the light. We're the same.
Hikari's phone buzzed against the cold. A message from the care facility. Her father was stable, resting, asking when she'd visit.
Not today. Today is for the tree. He'll understand.
They eased the sapling into the earth, filling the hole with dark soil, packing it down with their hands. The plum tree's bare branches seemed to lean closer, as if welcoming a neighbor.
This is our legacy. Not a company. Not a family name. Just a tree that will outlive us both.
The sapling stood thin against the winter sky, a promise of spring. The cherry and the plum would now grow together, their roots intertwined beneath the quiet earth. Spring arrived like a slow exhale. The cherry sapling surprised them both, pale pink buds opening to the sun, the plum tree beside it heavy with new fruit.
Look at it! It made it through the frost, just like us.
Every year it will grow stronger, a reminder that we survived.
Footsteps on the path. Kanon and Kazuya approached, a small wrapped bundle in Kanon's arms. The family was gathering.
We thought it was time she met her favorite aunt and uncle under the tree.
She's beautiful. What's her name?
Sakura, after the blossoms. A name that means new beginnings.
They spread a blanket under the plum tree, the baby sleeping between them. The past no longer haunted the shade.
We planted a tree, and the universe gave us a sakura. Some things really do come full circle.
The cherry petals fell around them, a silent celebration. The ring that had once been returned in sorrow was now just a piece of a much larger story, one written in blossoms, roots, and second chances. The afternoon sun began its slow descent as Kanon and Kazuya gathered their things. Sakura yawned in her carrier, her tiny fingers curling around a fallen petal.
We should head back before it gets chilly. But this was perfect.
Next time, let's do it at your place. Sakura will be crawling by then.
They waved until Kanon and Kazuya disappeared around the bend. Only the trees remained, rustling in the quiet.
I've been thinking about the ring. It belongs somewhere permanent, not in a drawer.
What if we bury it here, under the sapling, so the tree can grow around it?
They knelt together, digging a small hollow in the soft spring earth. The diamond caught the light one last time before Hikari closed her fingers around it.
Thank you for everything you taught us. Now become part of this tree.
They packed the soil back, patting it smooth. Above them, the plum and cherry branches intertwined, a canopy of forgiveness. Spring melted into summer, and the cherry sapling stretched toward the sky, its roots embracing the hidden ring below. Ren and Hikari walked the park path every Sunday, their steps slower, their laughter quieter, but fuller.
The tree is almost as tall as me now. Promise me we'll always come back here, no matter how busy life gets.
Every year, on the same day. It's a good tradition.
They sat on the old bench, the carved names now weathered but visible. The plum tree beside them bore fruit, and the cherry blossoms drifted like gentle snow. One afternoon, they saw a young couple sitting under the next tree, whispering and laughing. The cycle continued. Ren glanced at Hikari's hand, the silver band catching the light. The diamond was gone, yet its echo lived in the roots, in the branches, in the sky. The years would pass, but this small corner of the park would remember a story of betrayal turned to forgiveness, of a ring that was not the end, but the beginning. And when the wind stirred the petals, it almost sounded like a whisper, "I'm sorry," transformed into "thank you." The cherry tree bloomed, the plum tree fruited, and beneath them the earth held a diamond that once broke a heart and then mended two. Beneath the cherry tree, the diamond ring lay cradled in a nest of pale roots. It no longer belonged to anyone. It had become part of something larger, a quiet monument to everything they had survived. Above ground, the seasons cycled. Ren and Hikari grew older, their footsteps still finding the familiar path every Sunday.
Some days I forget the pain, but then I remember it was the soil that grew this.
The ring was never a burden. It was a seed, and we planted it together. What was once a symbol of loss is now the foundation of our entire life. Funny how things turn out.
The bench had weathered, the carved names fading into the wood, but the cherry tree never stopped blooming. Generations would sit beneath its branches, never knowing the diamond buried there, a silent witness to a love that chose to grow. The story wasn't over, it was only just beginning. Many springs later, the cherry tree towered over the park, its branches pink and white. The plum tree beside it sagged with age but still bloomed. Ren's hair had silvered at the temples, and Hikari's steps were slower, but their Sunday pilgrimage remained.
Look who's here.
Under the blossoms, Sakura sat with her own infant daughter, the baby's laughter ringing like bells.
She looks just like Kanon at that age.
And the little one has your brother's smile.
They sat together, the carved names on the bench now almost worn away, and watched the children chase petals.
Time is strange. That ring is buried, but its story lives in every petal that falls.
A single petal landed on Hikari's left hand, right over her silver band. She covered it with her palm, as if trapping a secret. The trees would outlive them, but the roots would remember, and the blossoms would always fall. Decades passed. The cherry tree became a landmark, and the park a sanctuary for young lovers who knew nothing of the diamond buried beneath. In the darkness, the ring rested. It no longer held a promise. It was the promise. One autumn, a curious child dug near the roots and found a glint, a tiny circle tangled in fiber. She tucked it back, thinking it belonged there, and it did. Ren and Hikari, now gray and frail, still came. But one winter, only Hikari walked the path. She sat on the bench alone, her silver rings on her finger. The cherry tree bloomed early that year, as if for him. She placed a single petal on the bench where his hand would have been. The plum tree's fruit fell, and the cherry blossoms swirled. The roots intertwined deeper, holding a diamond that now belonged to the earth. And in the silence, the story ended as it began, with a ring, a promise, and an invitation to love again.